We've all seen and heard about the NBA's most unbreakable records. Things like Wilt's 50 points per game in a season, or his 48.5 minutes per game in a season. Or John Stockton's all-time assist record, who nobody even comes close to. But what about NBA records that can realistically be broken? Not just broken, but broken in the near future, with players slowly but surely creeping up and coming close to breaking them.
Jordan ties the game.
Oh, boy.
63 points, and you're looking at an all-time record.
Oh, boy.
Michael Jordan.
For a long time, we thought these records were untouchable. Yet, as the decades went by, it's becoming more and more likely that these records could very well be broken in the foreseeable future. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today, let's take a look at the NBA's most breakable records. And it's possible they'll get broken sooner than we realize. Without further ado, let's begin. Michael Jordan's 63 points in a playoff game. The most points ever scored in a regular season game is 100 by Wilt Chamberlain. The most points ever scored in a playoff game is 63 by Michael Jordan. 63 is a lot of points. We can all agree to that, especially in the playoffs, when the entire defense formulates a game plan to stop you, yet you still score 63. However, in this day and age, offenses have exploded. In terms of analytics, teams and players have figured out the most effective ways to score.
Lucas splits a double, keeps the dribble alive, all the way to the hoop, scoop to the hoop with a foul! Point 71 and 72!
Combined with the ever-so-popular three-point shot, we've seen some massive scoring efforts, while the defense has not yet caught up. That's why we've seen guys like Damian Lillard score 60-plus points 5 different times within a 5-year span. We've seen James Harden do it 4 times. We've seen players like Donovan Mitchell, Joel Embiid, and Luka Doncic all have 70-point games within a year of each other. Granted, that all happened in the regular season, but this trend also extends to the playoffs too. Here's a fun fact. As of now, there have been 51 times in the playoffs when a player scored at least 50 points in a game. 18 of those 51 times happened between the years of 2017 to 2024. Basically, in this short span of time, 35% of all 50-point playoff games in history have occurred. We've seen Donovan Mitchell drop 57 points in a playoff game against the Denver Nuggets, so close to breaking MJ's record. With all that being said, it still takes a special set of circumstances for any player to break this record. The one thing I've yet to mention is pace. Back in the 1980s, the pace of the game was incredibly fast. Jordan scored 63 points against the Celtics in the first round of the playoffs in 1986. And the average pace throughout the series was recorded to be 97.6. For a playoff series, it was really fast-paced. Jordan's 63-point game in 1986 also happened in a loss. Everyone knew the Bulls stood no chance against the Celtics. The '86 Celtics are widely considered to be the greatest Celtics team in the history of their franchise. Knowing the Bulls were gonna lose, Jordan had the green light to do whatever he wanted, and on top of that, the game went into double overtime. This combination of an extremely high pace for a playoff game, 2 overtimes, a Bulls team with no expectations, and Jordan's brilliance, it was the perfect storm for him to set the record for most points scored in a single playoff game. The previous record holder was Elgin Baylor with 61 points, and he held the record for 24 years before Jordan finally broke it. Now, with the explosion of scoring around the league in the modern era, it's about time for this record to finally get broken. But by whom, I wonder? I think out of all these records you'll see in this video, this might be the first one to get broken. Steph Curry's 402 threes in a season.
Right side Curry for 400, got it! There it is! 400 threes in the season for Steph Curry!
I still remember a time when everyone thought it would be impossible to hit 300 threes in a season. Yet several players have already shattered that milestone as the three-point revolution commenced. But what about 400? In Steph Curry's 2015-16 season, where the Warriors won a record-breaking 73 games, Curry also broke the record for most three-pointers in a season with 402. That was the first and up until this video only season when a player hit over 400 threes. In fact, the top of the board in this ranking is filled with multiple Steph Curry seasons. However, I do believe Steph's record will eventually be broken, just because the NBA is moving more and more towards a three-point centric league. In the year he set the record, the average team in the NBA only attempted 24.1 threes per game. 8 years later, the average team attempted 35.1 threes per game. The two teams who made the finals, the Boston Celtics and Dallas Mavericks, attempted the number 1 and number 2 most threes among all teams. Because threes have become an integral part of every team's offense now, there's bound to be a time when Steph Curry's three-point record gets broken. The hardest part isn't necessarily the volume of threes. Curry shot 11 threes per game that season, but he has eclipsed that mark many times in other seasons. It was his combination of volume and efficiency. In that particular season, Curry shot a ludicrous 45% from three. He was also healthy the entire season, playing in 79 games. The volume, the efficiency, the health, it's a combination that's hard to match. Nowadays, however, it's more acceptable for rookies to enter the league and start launching threes because everyone is doing it. There will come a time when a high-volume three-point sniper eventually breaks Steph's record. Heck, James Harden was kinda close to doing it. In the 2018-19 season, Harden finished with 378 threes made, but he only hit 37% of his threes. Perhaps it just takes a volume scorer in the right circumstances like Harden, with the green light to shoot however many shots he wants. Even if the percentage isn't as high, the sheer volume of shots could make up for that. Larry Cannon's 11 steals in a game. While the record for most blocks in a game is an absurd 17, which seems impossible to break now because everyone's block numbers are much lower than it used to be. Steals, on the other hand, the record for this is only 11. It's a record held by Larry Cannon, who set the record in 1976, and Kendall Gill, who tied the record in 1999. Over the years, however, there have been so many times when this record got so close to being broken. Actually, there's been 23 other times when a player recorded 10 steals in a game. Most recently, 10 steal games have been recorded in 2017, 2018, and 2021 by Draymond Green, Lou Williams, and TJ McConnell. The fact that there's been 23 times when a player was one steal away from the record, it means this record is very vulnerable to be broken. It just hasn't been the right circumstance yet. Unlike other stats, steals are definitely the most volatile. TJ McConnell and Lou Williams averaged like 1 steal a game for their careers, yet they recorded 10 steal games. Larry Cannon, the record holder, also averages a bit over 1 steal per game for his career. This means basically anybody could break this record if they go off for one game. It's bound to happen eventually. The only issue that may get in the way is, nowadays, teams don't prefer their players to gamble for steals, and prefer a more solid team defense with far less gambling than players are used to doing. Perhaps that's why you don't see exorbitantly high steal numbers anymore, but it still does happen occasionally. And I can see this record breaking at any moment by a player who we'll never expect. Russell Westbrook's triple-double record. In the 2016-17 season, Russell Westbrook made history by breaking Oscar Robertson's record for most triple-doubles in a single season, with 42. In fact, Westbrook holds 3 of the top 4 records in this category. Regardless of all the accusations of stat padding and stat chasing to break this record, he still did it. However, over the years, we've seen several other players like Jokic and Luka finish several seasons with 20 to 30 triple-doubles, also averaging near triple-double seasons. In fact, I think this trend will continue as the years go by. More and more superstars are taking on the responsibility of doing everything for their team. For comparison, here's a list of players who recorded the highest single-season usage rates in history. Notice a trend? Yeah, I do. 12 of the top 15 highest usage seasons occurred within a decade, from 2014 until 2024. Because nowadays, superstars are being asked to do so much in every category. These are what people call heliocentric offenses. where one player controls the entire offense for a team, and as a result, their individual stats will increase across the board. In the 1990s or early 2000s, a player averaging a near 30-point triple-double was unheard of. Now, nobody blinks an eye. While Westbrook's 42 triple-doubles in a season still seems like it's very hard to break, it's no longer untouchable, though. Still, it would take a special set of circumstances for this record to break. For one, a player has to be good enough to average close to a triple-double, and they have to be motivated to break this record. They need to be ambitious and want it. Because, let's be real, it will take some stat padding and chasing numbers, like what Westbrook did. But hey, this is certainly a record that could be broken now, because we know it's possible. For over 50 years, we could never fathom how anyone could average a triple-double across a season, and we've always thought Oscar's 41 triple-doubles in a season was unbreakable, until Westbrook came along. He single-handedly made people not care about triple-doubles anymore, so his record could very well be broken not too long from now. Dwight Howard's 39 free throw attempts in a game. Honestly, out of all the breakable records in this video, I feel like this one is the hardest to break. Dwight Howard set the record for most free throw attempts in a single game, twice. On January 12, 2012, he shot 39 free throws. A year later, when he was with the Lakers, he shot 39 free throws in another game. I mean, that's a lot of free throws. The reason I think it could be broken is because the strategy of intentionally hacking a poor free throw shooter has been around forever, and it still works. For example, one time Ben Simmons attempted 24 free throws in a single quarter. Andre Drummond has attempted 20+ free throws in a single half before, so 39 free throws for an entire game is certainly not out of reach. It would have to happen to a player who is super impactful, so he needs to stay on the court, yet he's also a poor free throw shooter, so the opposing team is eager to foul him intentionally. That's how Dwight Howard set this record twice. Elgin Baylor's 284 points in a playoff series. Elgin Baylor's record has stood the test of time. He set the record for most points scored in a playoff series over 60 years ago. He did this in the finals, no less. The 1962 finals between the Lakers and Celtics, Baylor scored a total of 284 points in a series that went to 7 games. In terms of average, he averaged over 40 per game, which is impressive, but he doesn't hold the record for that. Only the total points in a series. Why hasn't anyone broke his record after this long? There have been guys who averaged 40+ points in a series before. We've seen MJ do it 5 different times. Heck, we've seen Jerry West average 46 points a game in a series before. However, usually if a player is putting up 40+ points a game, it's either a player on a bad team, like the Bulls in Jordan's first couple years where the series ends kinda quickly, or it's a player on a team who's heavily favored to win, so they just blow them out and the series doesn't last very long. The reason Elgin Baylor still holds this record is because he was putting up a ridiculous amount of points in a highly competitive series that went to 7 games. That combination is very rare. In fact, out of every player in history who averaged over 40 in a series, Baylor is the only one who played in a series that went to 7 games. So after saying all of this and how difficult it is to pull this off, why do I think this record set in 1962 could possibly be broken? Well, similar to Michael Jordan's 63 points in a playoff game record, scoring inflation in the NBA is continuously going up, and I don't think it has reached its peak yet. We've seen one-man wrecking machines average over 35 in a series. Luka, at the age of 22, scored a total of 250 points. Donovan Mitchell has scored 254 points in a 7-game series against the Nuggets. LeBron was pretty close a couple of times too. This record isn't that far out of reach. With superstars having the ball in their hands more often than ever, Baylor's 284 points is not as untouchable as we thought. And those were some of the NBA's most breakable records. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Can you think of any others? Also, which ones in this video do you disagree with, and you think are much harder to break than how I'm describing it? Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video. And of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.